On the eastern coast of India, millions of people travel every year to a temple that has stood against the crashing waves of the Bay of Bengal for centuries. In a tradition where deities are usually depicted in flawless, human-like physical forms, often wielding powerful weapons, the central deity of this ancient temple defies all of those rules. Look closely at Lord Jagannath. The eyes are massive, unblinking circles. The limbs are just stump-like arms, with no recognizable hands or feet. But the strangest detail isn't on the outside. Hidden deep inside this wooden chest is an ancient, unidentified object known as the Brahma Padartha. Every 12 to 19 years, the wooden idol is replaced, and blindfolded priests with their hands wrapped in cloth secretly transfer this mysterious core from the old body to the new one. To understand why a revered deity is carved to look entirely incomplete, and to figure out what exactly beats inside that wooden chest, we have to go back thousands of years, to the bloody aftermath of the Kurukshetra War. According to ancient texts, the devastating 18-day Mahabharata War left millions dead, including the 100 sons of Queen Gandhari. Consumed by grief, she cursed Lord Krishna, the divine strategist of the war, declaring that his entire royal lineage and his golden city would be destroyed in exactly 36 years. Decades later, as the curse took hold and his city sank into the sea, a weary Krishna lay resting in a forest. A hunter named Jara, mistaking Krishna's red-hued foot for a deer, fired a single arrow. It pierced his foot, ending his mortal avatar on earth. When Krishna's disciples placed his body on the funeral pyre, the fire consumed everything, except for one piece. His divine heart, said to contain the concentrated love of the entire universe, refused to turn to ash. Following a divine instruction, the warrior Arjuna placed this unburnt, glowing heart onto a wooden plank and pushed it out into the dark currents of the ocean. This physical remnant didn't sink. It became a living time capsule of divine energy, drifting across the sea for generations until it finally reached a new shore. The heart eventually washed up on the eastern beaches of Puri. A local tribal chief named Vishvavasu discovered it radiating a strange divine light. He hid it deep within a secret jungle cave, worshipping it as a deity he called Nila Madhava. Word of this hidden divine presence eventually reached King Indrayubna, a powerful ruler from Avanti. Determined to build a grand temple for it, the king sent his most clever priest, Vidyapati, into the jungle to find the exact location. Vidyapati spent months gaining the tribe's trust, eventually marrying the chief's daughter. He begged to see Nila Madhava, and the chief finally agreed, but on one strict condition. Vidyapati had to make the entire trek to the cave completely blindfolded. But the priest had a plan. He hid a handful of mustard seeds in his robes, quietly dropping them one by one along the dark path. Weeks later, those seeds germinated in the damp soil, creating a bright green trail that led straight from the village to the secret cave. The king followed the trail through the dense jungle, reaching the cave only to find it silent and hollow. The deity had vanished the moment it was sought through trickery and force, leaving the king with nothing but empty stone. Crushed by his failure, the king retreated. But that night, a celestial voice appeared to him in a dream. It told him to return to the sea, where he would find a massive, glowing log bearing cosmic symbols, the Daru Brahma, floating in the waves, waiting to be carved into a new form. When the royal sculptors couldn't even leave a scratch on the sacred wood, an old, mysterious carpenter appeared at the palace. He agreed to carve the idols, but demanded absolute isolation. He would work inside a locked room for exactly 21 days, and no one could open the door. For over 2 weeks, the rhythmic sounds of a hammer and chisel echoed through the heavy wooden doors. But on the 15th day, the carving suddenly stopped. A terrifying silence fell over the palace. Convinced the frail old man had collapsed from starvation, the queen panicked. Overcome by anxiety, the royal family broke their promise. On the 16th day, they forced the heavy doors open. The room was empty. The mysterious carpenter had vanished into thin air. Left behind on the floor were 3 blocks of wood, clearly unfinished, with flat stumps for arms and no legs to speak of. The king fell to his knees, certain his impatience had ruined the physical manifestation of his god. But as the king wept, a divine voice echoed through the chamber, telling him to stop mourning. He hadn't failed at all. This highly unusual, seemingly unfinished form was exactly the shape the divine intended to take. The massive, unblinking round eyes weren't a mistake. They were carved that way so the deity could watch over humanity constantly, without ever needing to close its eyelids to rest. The flat stumps existed to show that true cosmic power requires no physical hands to reach out to a devotee, and no human legs to travel across the universe. It was a rejection of the idea that God is bound by human anatomy. With the truth finally revealed, King Indradyumna took the ancient, unburnt heart of Krishna that had washed ashore and carefully sealed it deep inside the chest of this new wooden body. This incomplete carving serves as a physical representation of omnipresence, a reminder that a God without specific human features is a God who can be anywhere for anyone. The temple's theology takes a physical, massive form once a year during the Rath Yatra festival. In an incredibly rare tradition, the deity refuses to stay trapped behind the stone walls of the temple. Because there are people who cannot enter the sacred grounds, the wooden idol leaves the inner sanctum and comes out onto the chaotic public streets to grant them an audience. It creates the ultimate equalizer. Out on the main roads of Puri, millions of hands, regardless of their background, their wealth, or their social standing, grab the exact same heavy ropes to pull the massive chariots forward. The secret of Lord Jagannath is that his form was never ruined by human impatience. The physical void of the wood is intentional, a space that is only made whole by the devotion and unity of the millions who flock to him.